This is the PR Podcast, a show about how public relations helps you tell your story to the world. We talk with great PR practitioners who have the skills, creativity, and just plain savvy to get their clients noticed. Now here's your host, Jody Fisher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the PR Podcast. I'm Jody Fisher. Thanks for joining us. Well, don't forget to check us out on YouTube. You can not just listen to, but watch all the episodes of the PR Podcast. And it's a lot more interesting, I think, to watch than to listen, even though this guy's got the face built for radio. You can check me out here in the PR Garage, where I do all my business and where we record the show. And you can see our guests from wherever they are in the world. And it's a lot more fun to see them than just listen to them. So check us out on YouTube. Just search The PR Podcast, because there's only one The PR Podcast, and hit that subscribe button and do all that fun stuff that the streamers say, and you can watch every episode to your heart's content. Now let's get on with our show for today. We got a great guest. Kristi Straw is founder and CEO of Lighthouse Leadership Consultants, a nationally respected executive coach and leadership strategist who's known for guiding high-achieving professionals toward clarity, confidence, and lasting impact. With a career spanning more than 25 years in corporate leadership, she's built a reputation for transforming how organizations develop talent, helping executives break through barriers, elevate team performance, and lead with purpose. She was voted one of Charlotte's most influential women. Globe Street named her a top independent consultant in 2025, and she's the author of the best-selling book Unicorn Leader, available on Amazon. Kristi, welcome to the PR Podcast.
Jody, oh my goodness, thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here because your show lives at the intersection where so many leaders fail. And it's that space between what they're trying to say and how the world actually hears what they're saying. And that is my favorite place to work. And so thank you for having me.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you for that. And we're excited to have you on. Let's start right at the top. Tell us about that book, Unicorn Leader.
Unicorn Leader is literally the antidote to the trust gap that we have in corporate America right now. All right. AI is everywhere, right? And honestly, because of that, you're not only leading people, I like to say, you're managing so many things. You're managing perception and psychology and presence. And whether you want to or not, that's what it means when you step in to be a leader these days. And so I will tell you, Unicorn Leader is a high EQ leadership framework. Unicorn is an acronym. Okay. It outlines 7 traits that modern leaders need, which is uniqueness, nimble, nurturing, inspiring, compassionate, optimistic, resilient, and noble. And the hardest one, I'm going to go ahead and tell you because everybody asked me this, which one is the toughest? Sadly, Jody, it's the U for unique. Because so many people, and as my upcoming book will outline, it's called Not Your Good Girl. Because so many people fall into some sort of conditioning, whether it's good girl conditioning or corporate conditioning, right? The hardest one across all industries is like that narrative control. And leaders assume that their work speaks for itself when it really doesn't. And people follow the story that you tell about your work, which you know all about this, and they lose their uniqueness. And so there you go. Here we are today.
Yeah, unique, I think one of those words, definitely maybe overused, definitely misused,
Yes.
modified, which is like nails on a chalkboard to the English major over here. You can't be very unique or the most unique, or you are either it's binary, you're on or you're off.
Yes.
But it's a great point that you make about great leaders are unique, and when you water yourself down, you lose that uniqueness. Boy, I'm tripping over my words here.
But it's
And that I
true.
get, and you fall into that, oh, let's play it safe area as a leader, right? Let's do what we're expected to do. I mean, is that where you work with your clients?
Yes, for sure. Because so many of us have been conditioned through years of getting a promotion or not, or this reaction gets this response, or all of these things become the filter through which we operate every single day. And that's actually why Unicorn Leader exists, because there's these 7 high EQ leadership traits. You pick and pull whichever one you might need at any point in time. And in a modern leadership world, especially where multiple generations are now colliding in one workforce, visibility and being unique and your ability to control the narrative about you and your career is your equity in growing your career.
Yeah, and we all know that that's what makes news, right? Is that unique story, or that maybe it's not even unique, but it's different, it's original, right? It's
It's
something
original.
new that reporters look for. Do your clients come to you with that combination ask of teach me how to be a better leader so that I can get press coverage, or maybe get me press coverage to make me a unique leader? I mean, how does that work with your business?
My clients actually come to me confused about why they're not getting earned media or press coverage. They come to me confused about what the hell, girl? I'm doing all the things. I'm number one at this. I've won this award. I'm doing this. And I start talking to them about, well, how unique are you? Do you have a defined point of view? Are you known for some sort of thought leadership? Do you create spaces where people can show up and be their original, authentic, real self? And the answer typically is no, 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 no. I'm uncomfortable with that. That feels like I'll get in trouble. I shouldn't post that. I don't want to be too shiny. Want, 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 want. Okay. So we have to spend all this time on how to be visible in a way that feels authentic to them, right? But also safe in their career. And what I teach them to get them over the hump of do I want to be visible and safe is I say, name for me somebody who is a CEO in an organization or has created an entrepreneur venture that is now a unicorn, which is a whole different use of the word. Tell me who has done that without being visible and influential, and they can never name a single soul. And so I sit and stare at them until it dawns on them that this is a rhetorical stare and that we're going to be silent until they figure it out loud. And we just sit in awkward silence, Jody, for like 30 seconds. And then they're like, oh shit, you're talking to me. I'm not being unique enough. And I'm like, yes. So this is why you're not getting the promotion. This is why you're not being invited into that next level of room. This is why PR isn't banging down your door to talk to you about what you're doing that's different, because you're not different. You're not.
Yeah, we've all met those clients who hire us and put their feet up on the desk and say, "Let me know when we're going to be in the newspaper."
Yes.
And you and I both know that is not how it works, right?
It's never how it works. And then I tell people, yes, authenticity. Yes, make sure that you're being your authentic self. And at the same time, that doesn't mean oversharing. It doesn't mean risk associated with authenticity, which is actually called vulnerability. If there's risk associated with it, that's when it moves from authenticity, vulnerability. And so I have to spend a lot of time on this part because, especially executives, image is important.
Yeah, it needs to be, right? I mean, they are the most visible representation of their company, of their brand, of the thing that they do. Um, Equally important in that calculus, though, are the employees.
Mhm.
And I've always believed that they are your most important audience because they're the ones out there at the water coolers and the cocktail parties and the backyard barbecues who are talking about how proud they are about their company, how proud they are to work for this CEO who is doing these amazing things. And if that is absent, then you're leaving money on the table in terms of your brand being able to be burnished by your own employees. Do you talk with your leaders? You're nodding your head, but give me that. I mean, you're
I
talking with your leaders
do.
about how to talk with the employees.
Yes, absolutely. And one thing that we talk about a lot is how are you going to be trusted as a leader if people can't visibly see what you stand for? Right? People work so hard to get into executive leadership and to get into leadership, and then they want to be invisible because they don't want to be risky and they don't want to lose their spot. And so now they've lost all the people that were bought into their vision. I literally do a lot of work around the statistics of this. Employee generated content, which is what every company hopes that their employees will create on their own, literally gets over 700% more attention and views and impressions than something your company would post. And so I'm constantly speaking to executives about, listen, not only does the visibility help you in your reign, right? Whatever that looks like for you, but it helps you become relatable, identifiable. And it also, the data shows that it improves retention of employees who see visible executives that are living the values that they espouse. Now, herein lies, Jody, where we get into some trouble because let's call it what it is. There are plenty of executives who yap their mouths and don't actually align their actions with their words. And so when I recognize that people are really scared about visibility, I start to dig deeper about why is that and where is the misalignment that you're afraid is going to show and how can we fix that first, which generally is where we spend a lot of time.
So let's say you get the client that sits down across the table from you, and
Mhm.
they're the leader, they're the CEO or whatever title they have. They say they want to be out there in terms of earned media. They're, as you're describing, maybe a little afraid or cautious, and cautious is fine, but some of them just put up the whole, we don't want to do that. How do you get them um, and convince them to see the argument and start to get them to dip their toe into earned media in a way that, as you put it, feels safe?
Yes, it's a great question. And really, the first thing we do is I take them through what I created, which is called the Authentic Authority Archetype Quiz. You can find it, it's free on my website. And you are wired to naturally lead and influence people in one of five ways. You're either a catalyst, an architect, a visionary, a strategist, or an anchor. I myself am an anchor, which means I lead with emotional intelligence, empathy. People feel safe to talk to me and tell me all the things they didn't think they were going to. It's just how I'm wired. Okay. We're all wired a certain way. And so I have them take the quiz. I say, all right, does this feel true for you? Let's pretend you're an architect. Okay. Does this feel true for you that you're an architect archetype? Yes, it does. These are usually tech people or CPAs. I have a lot of clients that are CPAs and tech people, and they're horrified by the idea of having to be visible. They really truly believe that just great work should be good enough. But what they don't understand is because you're already wired to not want or respect visibility, you're not going to get any because you're not doing anything to put yourself out there. And so it is this self-fulfilling prophecy. And so I first help them recognize how are you naturally wired? And then I help them recognize where in your business or your life do you feel safe to show up fully visibly? And let's build a PR strategy around that. It might not be what your day job is. It might be your hobby. It might be that you love putting on events, but you're actually a leadership coach. Let's build your visibility around what you want to be seen to do. And I notice that once they have an authentic language for them, and once they see how they can use that in a de-risk type of a situation, they get really excited about the opportunity.
Yeah, that so much of our job is getting people to that space, who want to be out there but don't want to be out there, if you follow me,
Yes.
to
Yes.
actually be comfortable and confident, and I'd rather use the word confident about being out there. And maybe it's things, I always start them out with something like a written piece, right? Where
Mhm.
we can write it and we can control it. And I'm not throwing you into an interview with the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal right off the bat, which is
See, what's funny?
ironically where they all want to be.
It's so funny you said that because I'm like, well, first of all, feel free because I would be ready for that right off the bat, which is ridiculous. And I'm not wired to want anything but that, right? I'm just not wired to want anything but that. And so I'm always amused when clients who are wired very differently from me come to me and they're like, hey, how can we bridge this gap between how far you are out there and how that actually scares the hell out of me? And the gap right there is what I call the trust gap. And whether it's a broken team, which is why I wrote Unicorn Leader, or whether it's a broken relationship with PR professionals and what you really want to be putting out into the world, it generally comes down to a trust gap. And so I run a pattern analysis for these folks across three different data points. We talk about when do you delay making decisions? When does your actual story start to shift? And what are some emotional undercurrents that you're afraid are going to come out when you are on stage or on air? And they're always surprised by those questions because they seemingly feel unrelated. But we always get to the root cause, which is generally something related to, well, I don't want to be too shiny. I don't want to like it. And then I'm not humble. I don't want to be braggadocious. They're really worried about all these things. And in the end, it's like, until you come to terms with that, and there's always going to be people who don't appreciate how you're showing up out visibly in the world, until you come to terms with that, you're never going to get the coverage that you want because you're performing versus being.
Wow, that is a great line, performing versus being. That is so true. And so many people get tripped up in the performance aspect of, I guess,
Yes.
what they think earned media is all about. And
Mhm.
I'm hearing a lot of what you're saying. It sounds to me like it's coming from firsthand experience, right? You were C-suite before you
Yes.
went out and built Lighthouse Leadership Consultants, right? Tell me
Yes.
about that transition going out on your own and how you brought those experiences over.
Well, I'm an accidental business owner, Jody. I sort of got fired from the C suite, and it just wasn't really going to be a great fit. And I was like, well, hell, what am I going to do? And it was my ego that was like, start a business, dummy, because then you look like you're doing something. And so through starting the business, I actually started to heal. I'll be completely transparent. Yes, this is very personal. I talk a lot about visibility is not vanity, it's capital. And that is why my next book is called Not Your Good Girl. And 30 stories have been submitted across the world already of women who feel that they were promoted by being visible. And then once they got there, they were supposed to go and like die and shrivel up somewhere and no longer be visible. And I had a similar experience. And so it just wasn't working. It was no longer going to be a thing. I looked at my husband and said, listen, as a former wealth advisor, it makes me sick to think about draining my retirement account. This is exactly what I would tell my clients not to do unless it was their dream. And this is my dream. And I'm going to give myself permission to do so. And that's what I did. And that's here we are now. Stepping outside of corporate America, Jody, is the only thing that allowed my creativity to thrive. And now I'm just unstoppable.
I love hearing that story, and I had a similar experience, including draining the retirement account. But you know what? I'm 100% with you. It was totally worth it. And you know, I get a lot of questions from people about starting my own, but what I did to start my own business, and I have a very similar short story, which is I just had to.
Yes.
And I
Like
wanted
there
to, and I
wasn't.
wanted to. But
Yeah,
but
and
t-
there and
what were the steps you took in starting that? There's a little bit of, oh, I'm standing at the cliff. I guess I got to jump. But what was some of the thought process? How did you go about it? What levers did you pull?
my thought process really in the beginning was revenge. That is not a nice answer, but it is the truthful answer, damn it, and you're gonna get it, okay? Revenge. I wanted revenge. They told me I was a unicorn when I walked in the door, and I said, hell yeah, everybody has told me that my entire life. But why do you say that? And my executive assistant said, okay, well, you are wired on the Myers Briggs as a feeler. We need a feeler. We don't have enough compassion in our C suite, and that is what we brought you in for. Let me tell you how the compassion was not wanted and was trampled on. And I promise you, the bank would have rather I robbed some bank than talk about a feelings wheel in the C suite with executives. All right. Everything they hired me for, they despised. And I felt it from the first day I was there. And so when I left, I said, well, you know what? That was a bunch of shameful, shitty managers. And so I trademarked the term shamager. And then I said, I'm going to write a book called Unicorn Leader because they called me a unicorn. And then I'm going to make it a bestseller and I'm going to sell it in the backyard. And nobody is going to be able to get away from what I'm doing. This is the truth.
Well, I am just feeling a lot of people out there in the audience going, yeah, me too. Me too. That
Yes.
is that is so great. So, all right, advice for somebody trying to go out on their own as they're exacting their revenge or doing whatever they're doing. Advice for somebody going out on their own, starting something new, whether it's a PR agency, a leadership building agency, or anything else.
Yes, my advice, have a defined point of view and be prepared for people to not appreciate what you're talking about or trying to put into the world.
Oh, that's a good one. Be prepared for people to not appreciate you.
Just be prepared, because when you tell the truth, and that's my tagline for my next book, tell the truth and build something better from it. When you tell the truth, people don't like that. But I decided I didn't like them. So I was going to tell the truth anyways, even though I was afraid. It will repel those who aren't a fan, it will magnetize those who are going to pay me. And here we are today, my friend.
Yeah, well, the truth always wins in the end. We know this.
Absolutely. Yes.
Kristi, thank you so much for coming on the show today. This has been a great conversation. I have the feeling we could go for hours here, but we really love having you on here.
Thank you.
We are not done with you yet, however. We are going to segue now into the rapid fire question portion of our podcast. This is where we steal a page from inside the actor's studio. We ask our guests a series of rapid fire questions meant to elicit a simple answer, maybe a laugh or two. I think we're going to get that out of our guest today. Kristi Straw, let's begin with rapid fire question number 1. What is your favorite news source?
Reuters, because I was a wealth advisor.
That makes sense. That makes total sense. Rapid fire question number 2. What's your favorite social media platform?
I might be old, but I love LinkedIn. It is my favorite, and I've won a ton of business this year from LinkedIn, so I'm a fan.
Is there a quickie little thing that you do on LinkedIn that helps you win business? Everybody says, I love being on there, but what's the thing you use it most for?
The thing I use it most for is putting my voice into the world through your authentic authority archetype and how you can build your own executive brand. And people see that I'm living that, and then they want a piece of that.
Love it. Rapid fire question number 3. Coffee or alcohol?
Both. Coffee when I'm trying to create, and definitely wine for reflection, and then shots for when I just want to celebrate great things happening.
I have the feeling that third one is in there an awful lot for you.
It is.
And in a good way, Rapid fire question number 4. What's your favorite on the run food?
Oh my gosh, it's the buffalo chicken stick from Quick Trip.
Oh my gosh. All right. You gotta elucidate on that.
Okay, it's oddly specific, but anytime I'm not super hungry and I see a Quick Trip in the rollers, they have the food, and I just love their buffalo chicken stick, and everybody should have one. It's fabulous.
That sounds awesome. Love that. Favorite drink to go with it? Is there a drink you grab with it?
Oh, well, I'm a water person because I don't drink it enough.
Yeah, we all should drink more water. That's true. And rapid fire question number 5. What do you want to be after you finish this career?
I want to be an evolved version of this same person because I am very, very proud of where I am.
Yeah, the people who love what they do have no plans to retire. They just have plans to change what they do.
You're right.
Awesome. Well, Kristi, this has been a great conversation. Like we said, please let people know how they can find you and Unicorn Leader online.
Oh gosh, listen, everything lives at lighthouseleadershipconsultants.com. Please, you should take your authentic authority archetype quiz. You can find it on lighthouseleadershipconsultants.com. And you can always find me on LinkedIn. I'm on there all day long.
That sounds great. We'll put all the links in the show notes. Thanks again, Kristi, for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Please remember to subscribe to the show. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The PR Podcast, and send us a question or a comment. Our intro is by Christopher Appold. You can find him and his fantastic photography on Instagram at Christopher_APPOLDT. Check him out there and hire him for all your photography needs. You can find me online at Jody Fisher on all the socials and on the web at jodyfisherpr.com. We'll see you next time on the PR Podcast.